All right, Noah, thanks so much for joining us again. In this module, we're going to learn how to insert form and signature fields into PDF documents with BlueBeam. So go ahead, take it away.
All right, so yeah, inserting form fields and signature fields are very useful for things like billings or these documents here, like an LOD form or anything that you want to use as a template and be able to reuse frequently. So when you are inserting the form fields, there's a couple of different ways to do it. You'll go up over here to the Form tab, and if you have fields that are kind of pre-made, like through a table from Word or whatnot, the Form tool does a pretty decent job at auto-creating those fields. It might not get everything, but it might get some of the work out of the way for you, so doesn't hurt to click the auto-create tool. So when you click that, we'll see what it does. So it did a pretty good job at picking up these already tabled fields. And so you can go ahead and fill out what you need to or delete what you need to. Like in this situation, this is just a slightly bigger text box, so we don't actually need this one. So you can click it and then click your delete button on your computer or right click and delete it. And so you can see these here. If you desire, you can go to the side here and rename each one. It's not entirely necessary just because nobody's ever really looking at this, but if you want it to be really precise, you can rename each of these and reorder them to POC1, POC2, etc. But so now that you have the auto-generated fields, you can go through to everything else that did not auto-generate. And so you'll click back up on that form tool. And if it's not already open, you can open the editor, and then you'll be able to go over here and add a text box, buttons, checkbox, and all the other options here. If this gets a little confusing just because they're smaller, you can go back to that form tool, click insert, and you can choose your options here. So in this situation, we just want to add a couple text boxes. So let's add one for the attention line. You can make it as big as you want, and it does a good job at lining up everything. So you'll see that dotted line that dashes across the screen. So you can make sure everything's lined up. If you want this to just go all the way across, you can line it up with that other text box there. And then you're good for that attention line. And then what I like to usually do just to make sure that everything's the same width, you can just copy and paste it for the other area. And then you'll be able to drag it where you want. And you can adjust it with the arrows on your computer for a little more precision. And then if it's a little long, you can just drag it back to match the other one, that dotted line, and it stops it for you, so you don't have to be precise, and makes it nice and easy. Oops, let me go back to the editor. So now you can adjust that. So that covers everything that we needed for forms on here. So if we go to the second page, we will need to add some signature fields here. So again, you'll click on the form tool, click insert, and then you click the digital signature option. And then you can just drag and drop these as you please, and it creates a digital signature spot for somebody to sign. Again, you can just copy and paste it and line them up, and then you've got all of your fields inserted. If you click the escape button, they're now able to be edited in. You can type in them and everything. If you find yourself in this spot and you need to edit again and you realize that you can't resize, then you'll just go back. If you hit editor, it puts everything back into edit mode. And along with the things that I showed you, there's a couple more options depending on the document you have. You can put a checkbox in. You can add a list, just a button, and when you click those things, it can operate different ways. The checkbox, depending on the document that you have, you can use all of those options, and it comes in great handy when you are working on templates and anything else you might need.
Great, thank you, Noah. Question: so, what would the button do? Would that be like you have to set it to do something, or go to a website or something?
Yeah, so when you I haven't used it myself in these situations, but I think when you set it up, you can link it to
Got it.
different features, and it would operate like
Okay.
to open up an area and everything. I've never had to use it. Definitely
Okay.
one that you wouldn't use very frequently. The ones that I did use the most would be the text box, checkbox for a billing field or whatnot, and the digital signature are ones that are used very
Got
frequently.
it. And just to review, the radio buttons, that gives you an option to choose usually between two different options, right?
Correct.
Let's
Yeah.
try one of those. Let's just put in one of those just to see.
So yeah, you can throw them down. So if you had like basically a multiple choice question, you could then choose which ones that you wanted to use.
Got it.
You choose.
Okay, with radio buttons, you can see it's just one at a time, right? If you click on one,
Correct.
the other one goes away.
Exactly, because you can see it's linked in a group here.
Oh, I see.
So
okay.
So if you were going to create a second one, you could create it's grouped into that one field. If I were to click on them again and insert some more, you can see it's created another group. So you would just add it to that group. If you wanted to come back and add more, you could go to this group here, and you'd be able to add more from this group, and then it would add to that section over there.
And just real quickly, can we take a look at an example of a list box, just so we have all those options covered?
Yes.
We have a list box and we have drop downs. All right, Noah, so one of the options is a list box. Can you show us quickly how to use that?
Yes, so if you insert a list box, you'll throw it in there, and then on the right here, you'll see that you have the ability to add your items. So if you just, for example, test 1, test 2. Okay. You can add those, and then when you are using the list, you can select the ones that you would like.
And this is very similar to the next one that you'll show us, which is the drop down. They kind of work the same way. It's just that the way that they look is different.
Correct. Yeah.
So in a list box, when you click on it, it doesn't show you all the options. You've got to scroll. And in a drop down, when you click on that arrow, which you'll do right now and show us, it shows you all of those options.
Exactly.
Versus in a list box, you scroll. Okay.
Exactly.
Excellent.
Yep.
And one final thing to mention, Noah, is that you've used digital signatures here, and those will be in DocuSign. And everyone needs to know that it is against company policy to use any form of an image for a digital signature for someone, especially on contracts or any legal documents. The signatures must be routed through DocuSign for the actual person to sign. So if you had an image of Serge's signatures or Cecil's signature, you could not just place that in there as an image. Okay. All right. Wonderful. Thanks so much.
Yep.
We'll see you next time.